Kinematics is the study of motion. When we deal with kinematics, the first thing we need to discuss is what's referred to as your frame of reference. What you see depends on where you are. There's no such thing as absolute rest or absolute motion. It's all relative to something else. Our frame of reference will be the surface of the earth. So what do we mean when we talk about frame of reference? Let's use our bus stop as an example. Let's say that you're a person standing at a bus stop and you watch the bus move by. From your frame of reference, you are at rest and the bus is moving. But now switch positions. Let's say that you are the person on the bus and you drive past the bus stop. Now it looks like you're at rest and the bus stop is moving. So what you see depends on where you are. We need to know some basic definitions in kinematics. Rate is any quantity divided by time. Speed is a particular rate. Speed is the rate of change of distance. It's how much distance is traveled in a particular amount of time. Constant speed is when the speed does not change over a period of time. When we talk about speed, there are several different ways that we can discuss it. Our first is what we refer to as our average speed. Average speed is the speed traveled over a period of time. We can calculate it by taking the total distance traveled and dividing it by the total time it takes to travel that distance. We would need to measure the distance with an odometer and the time with a watch. When we deal with an odometer, it's the device that's used to measure the distance traveled. There's one on the dashboard of your car. It's the numbers that roll on the speedometer. And it looks something like this. So we can measure the distance that's traveled with an odometer, measure the time it takes to travel that distance with a watch, and take the total distance divided by the total time, and that would give us our average speed. So let's say we talk about a 100-meter world record. The 100-meter world record is 9.59 seconds. So we can find the average speed by taking the distance divided by the time. So we've got 100 meters divided by 9.59 seconds gives us an average speed of 10.43 meters per second. We can do the same thing with the 200-meter world record. We would take the total distance traveled divided by the time it takes to travel that distance. So we've got 200 meters divided by 19.19 seconds gives us an average speed of 10.42 meters per second. So which one is faster, the 100-meter world record or the 200-meter world record? When we look at those numbers, the average speed for the 100-meter world record is 10.43 meters per second. That means they travel 10.43 meters every second. When we look at the 200-meter world record, the average speed is 10.42 meters per second. That means they travel 10.42 meters in every second. So there's a small difference, but the average speed for the 100-meter world record is just slightly faster than the 200-meter world record because they travel just a little bit further every second. Now we want to talk about instantaneous speed. And instantaneous speed is the speed at a particular point in time. We can measure it with a speedometer. And again, there's a speedometer on your car's dashboard, and it looks something like this. So if we're driving along the road and we look down at that speedometer at any instant in time, we're looking at what we refer to as the instantaneous speed. Velocity. Velocity has a speed and a direction. So if we were to say that we're traveling 55 miles per hour, that's referred to as a speed because it's telling us how much distance is traveled in a particular time. But if we were to say we're traveling 55 miles per hour due east, now we're looking at velocity because not only does it state the speed, but it also states the direction. The only way to travel at a constant velocity is to travel in a straight line at a constant speed. If you speed up or slow down, then your velocity changes. And if you turn, your direction changes, and you are not traveling at a constant velocity anymore. So here's an equation that we need to know. Average speed, we're going to stand for as SA, equals our distance divided by our time. So here's our key. SA stands for average speed. D stands for distance. And T stands for time. Now, for units, our distance is typically measured in meters. Our time is typically measured in seconds. And since our average speed is distance divided by time, we would have meters divided by seconds for our units for average speed, or meters per second.